Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming. I'm Eli Nyberger. I'm director of the Ann Arbor District Library. We're very pleased to welcome the University of Michigan here tonight to introduce their new program in partnership with the city, the Guaranteed Income to Grow Ann Arbor pilot. So please join me in welcoming Trevor Bechtel and Kristen Seefeld.
Yeah, thanks again for having us here tonight, and thank you all for coming out. I am a professor at the University of Michigan. Trevor works with me side by side and does a lot of our community initiatives. So we have a very short presentation just giving an overview of what the program is and the process for applying. But we really want to reserve a lot of the time to answer any questions folks might have. So what we're hoping to do tonight is just give you a little bit of background about what guaranteed income is, show you who our team is, in case you see any of them out in the community, and the many different organizations that we're partnering with. We've done a lot of outreach, and we will continue to do so through the application period. We'll start enrolling people later this fall. And also there's a research and evaluation component to this guaranteed income pilot as well. So I want to talk just a little bit about that as well. So I'll hand it off to you, Trevor.
Thanks, Kristen. It's great to be with you all tonight. I'm going to run through the first bunch of slides here. If you've got a question while I'm going through, go ahead and raise your hand or shout it out, and I can kind of answer as we go. And then you can also save your questions for the end. So a guaranteed income is an unconditional, no strings attached, regular payment. And that's how this will work. And these are typically directed towards a specific population. So a group is targeted to receive this, and then we're interested in kind of what the benefits are. Another term that often gets talked about in this guaranteed income space is a universal basic income, or a UBI. And that would be for everyone. So that would be something that everyone would receive. A guaranteed income is targeted to a smaller group of people. And there are a lot of pilots exploring this across the country right now, more than 100 that have been planned or concluded in our country. And so this particular program, Guaranteed Income in Ann Arbor, comes from the city's grant from the federal government, the American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA, which was a part of COVID relief. And the city received $24 million and is choosing to spend 1.6 of that funding on this program. They put up a request for proposals for implementation and evaluation in the fall of 2022, so a year ago now. We applied and were awarded the contract in the spring of this year. The City Council approved the contract in the summer. And so we're excited to be working on this program. And here's the team of people from the University of Michigan working on this. The first six people here are faculty at the University of Michigan, many from the School of Social Work, but also from the School of Public Health. I manage Washtenaw County projects, and my colleagues Liani May Aumentado is a project manager, and Lauren Slaughter, communications director. So the last three here are staff working on the program. Everybody has a really nice smile except for me. We work with a bunch of different community partners to deliver this, so we've been really delighted by the partnership with the library here. They're providing space for this tonight. And then we will have a table set up for the entire application period here at the library. On Saturday the 7th, it will be over at the Westgate branch, but we will have graduate students from the university helping to kind of help people apply. We've also partnered with Ground Cover News, the Association of Businesses of Color, the Entrepreneurship Center at Washtenaw Community College, the Office of Economic Community Development at the county, the Express Your Yes Foundation, and the Circles Program of Friends Indeed, and many, many more institutions in our city. So this particular program targets low to moderate income people who have some kind of small business, or are an entrepreneur, or are a gig worker, or have some other kind of side work. So some kind of business activity broadly defined, and who live inside the city limits of Ann Arbor. And we measure the low to moderate income based on 225% of the federal poverty line. This varies dependent on how big your household is. So for a family of three, it would be about $56,000 a year. And there's a chart on our website, GIGA2.org, and also on the application. So why did we want to target entrepreneurs with this project? Well, entrepreneurs Entrepreneurship offers an opportunity to individuals with barriers to traditional employment, and it also provides extra income for low-wage workers. We know, as poverty researchers, many of us, that many people who struggle with economic security need to kind of do extra work to make ends meet. And the city wanted to have some kind of novel research question. As I said, there were 100 of these pilots across the country, and the city wanted to do something that hadn't been done before. It also needed to be responsive to the COVID-19 pandemic, and we know that COVID-19 really undermined business formation and growth and sustainability. So for this reason, we decided on this on this pilot. One note here is that many small businesses, particularly small businesses owned by people of color, didn't receive support from some of the plans that the government had during COVID, like PPP, which targeted larger businesses. So we're hoping that this mitigates some of the effects of that. So our timeline moving forward, over the summer, we gained approval from our University Research Board, something called the IRB, and developed our materials. Right now, we're in the outreach phase, and applications will open on Monday. After the application period, we'll start enrolling participants from mid to late fall, and payments will start in January of 2024, and people will receive $528 for 24 months. So our application is going to go live on our website on October the 2nd at 10 a.m. And so again, GIGA2.org. And people can receive assistance, excuse me, people can receive assistance applying at the library, as I mentioned, every day, including the weekend, although on Saturday it'll be at the Westgate branch. You can also contact Ann Arbor Guaranteed Income at umich.edu for questions or assistance. All of the kind of eligibility criteria and documents that you need are on the website. And we'll take applications for the full period. It is not a first-come, first-served program. But you need to get your applications in by 11:59 on October the 13th.
Okay, so as we noted earlier, there is a research and evaluation component to this program, and that's something that's very important to the city, that we kind of find out what the effects are of receiving these payments. And to do that, we are conducting what's known in the research community as a randomized experiment. Basically, that means, what this will mean for this particular project is we will randomly select 100 individuals to receive the guaranteed income payment. It will be just like a lottery. This is a way to sort of be able to really figure out, like, what's the cause of the effects. So in addition to those 100 individuals, we'll select another 100 individuals who serve as sort of the comparison group. And by comparing outcomes like, you know, effects on health, on mental health, on their business, you know, on things like various forms of economic hardship, we'll be able to understand better what exactly the guaranteed income is causing, and you know, and sort of isolate those effects. In terms of effects on people's businesses, and I do want to stress, by business activity, we are talking a full range of things, you know, cutting hair, braiding hair, babysitting, shoveling snow, you know, just really informal things, you know, do count. Yes.
So if you was a person who was cutting hair or things like that, wouldn't have evidence to show, how would we go about putting that on the application?
And I'm just going to repeat the question for the live streamers who didn't get it since you weren't mic'd. If you're doing a kind of informal business like cutting hair, and you don't have a kind of evidence to show that business, how do you put that on the application?
So all we are asking in terms of that question is just to tell us what your business activity is. We're not requiring any documentation. of that at all, because yeah, a lot of folks don't have it. So we've got a long list of boxes to check of different types of jobs and work you might be doing, and you tell us what you're doing. Thanks.
Thank you. I wondered, I have a business idea, but it's not something that I've implemented, mostly because of lack of funds. Will this application also be open to those persons?
I would say that if you are like in the active planning process, yes. I mean, that you don't have to have actually made money from it yet, but we want, we're trying to target folks who are like doing activities around this, and whether or not you're making money is, at this point in time, is not relevant as far as we're concerned.
Thank you very much. So if we do have these other activities that we are conducting, like development activities, for example, how can we, do we show those on the application as well? And if so, how?
You don't need to show those on the application. Again, you will tell us what it is you're doing. The documentation that the city is requiring is sort of proof of residence, and we have a list of different types of documentation that would serve to prove that. You have to be 18 or older, so proof of age, and also then proof of income. And again, a lot of different documents can meet that requirement. So if you got SNAP benefits, a picture of your bridge card would suffice. A bank statement. If you do have a tax return, that would be fine. We don't need the originals. Just taking a picture of what you've got and uploading it to the application will be completely fine.
Yeah, so I was invited here on a whim by a friend, but I have a relative that would probably be like very interested in participating. They're actually an Ypsi resident, or even Ypsi Township. So would they still be able to qualify, or is this like Ann Arbor residents strictly?
While we had initially hoped to serve all of Washtenaw County, the City Council decided that this would be for Ann Arbor residents only, since it was the city that got the Recovery Act funds for the city. So unfortunately, no.
Good afternoon. My question is, I have the name of my business, and I actually registered my business, but I really don't know how to people know me or do something. So I really don't make money yet, but I'm really interested.
Yeah.
So that's something that can I apply for?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. Again,
Great.
if you are, you don't need to necessarily be making money from it. And in fact, we expect that for some folks, like, you're actually spending some of your own money in order to like get things off the ground. So yes, you can apply.
Thank you for that about Ypsi, because I was going to ask that question as well. But another question I had was if it's a nonprofit organization. I work with kids, and does that business would be apply, or does it have to be a profit business or a nonprofit?
It doesn't have to be a for-profit necessarily, no, but something that, like, if you're doing this as side work, that would count, yeah.
Does your business have to Does your business have to provide goods and services to the people of Washtenaw County, or can it be something online where it has nothing to do with here?
It can be something online that isn't necessarily serving just Ann Arbor, absolutely, yeah.
I have an unreliable income, and so I was wondering what types of documentation that show my income. You said tax returns, but is there anything else that I could show?
Oh gosh, no, I'm gonna blank on some of the bank statements.
On the website, should I pull it up?
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind pulling up, that would be great. And then I don't have to guess and then tell you incorrect information. Thanks, Trevor. Yeah, there's internet. The other thing I would say too around documentation is if you don't have something that we have listed on the website, my recommendation would be to email us, and we can maybe work together to figure out what would count, because there might be other possibilities as well. Income is right there. So bridge card, other documentation, including screenshot that shows the receipt of programs for people with low income, a letter from a social service agency or community-based organization confirming your eligibility for low-income programs, state or federal tax return, a W-2. But again, if you don't have any of those, please get in. Sure, 1099, absolutely.
I'm just going to pop this up on so that you all can see it. So this is our guaranteed income to Grow Ann Arbor webpage at GIGA2.org, and then there's a set of things that you can look at, and our eligibility page is what Kristen was reading from in the income section here.
There was a question in the back, I think. Yeah.
We'll get to all of your questions. So,
I know there's a level of income you're allowed to have to be below. What if suddenly you got this great job and you went above that during the 2-year period? What happens then?
That doesn't matter. So we are going to define the pool of folks as people who are eligible on the date of application. We hope that people's income grows.
I anticipate you'll answer my question in the same way. My business is kind of sleeping right now after a period of a chunk of time, and it tends to change. Sometimes, selling one type of product or service, and it changes a little bit here and there because it's kind of an arts, crafty thing. So over this 2-year period, how drastic could the business change from its initial application and acceptance?
It can change however it wants, including shutting down entirely. I mean, so from a research perspective, what we're interested in looking at is to what extent do these payments help people grow or change or stabilize their business, or do these payments help folks say, hey, I don't want to do this kind of work anymore. I'd like to focus on other things, my family, going to school, something else. And maybe people will pull back. So we're going to look at both of those kinds of outcomes.
Mm-hmm. I do an app-based gig thing. How would I provide proof? Is it a screenshot?
You don't need to provide proof of the work you do. You just need to provide address verification, income verification, and your age. So
okay.
We'll ask you to check off a box of what type of work you do, but you don't have to verify that.
Okay, but how would I verify the income though? Because it's all on the app.
I mean, are you able to download something from the app or take a screenshot of it?
I could probably take a screenshot. Yeah, that should do. Okay, great.
Yeah.
If there's ideally a really good outcome for the business, say like an acquisition or something, is anything due to the city of Ann Arbor or to the university?
I had
no. So the question was about if the business really grows and becomes very wealthy, is anything owed back to the university or to the city? And no, it's not an entrepreneurship program in a startup sort of way. Rather, that's the targeted pool, and then once you're in the pool, you get the money regardless of what happens. So it's a guaranteed income program meant to help people with a pool that selects based on entrepreneurship.
Yeah, and you can do whatever you want with the money.
Hi, I had a few questions. One was, you mentioned there would be 100 people selected, and then you said there would be another 100 people. What does that mean?
So our research design, which is tied up in all of this, is that we want to be able to compare outcomes between people who get the income and people who don't get the income. So we'll have 100 folks, probably the next one, 100 people who get the income. We'll be giving surveys at 3 different points in time. And then another 100 people who don't get the income, we will give the same surveys to. And then if we see differences, we can be able then to say that difference is due to getting the income. So if this is just an example. If we found that the people who got the guaranteed income reported that their health improved compared to the folks who didn't get the income, we could say that that's because of the income. Okay. And we're in the process of actually trying to secure some funds that we would be able to pay like a very modest, maybe $25, $20 a month to people who were in the group who weren't getting the guaranteed income. And we also routinely pay folks for their participation in surveys.
And another question I had was, do you have to fill out like a biography? No. And why do you have to fill out, if there is a bio to fill out, or other information beyond the documentation proofs? Why do you have to fill that out if it's like a raffle?
No bio. You know, we don't want people to have to feel like they have to prove that they're, you know, worthy of getting a benefit, right? Like it's, you know, tell us what kind of work you do, tell us your income level, your age, and then it is a lottery after that. So so there's no need to do that.
I'm older and retired. Is there any problem with not being able to work?
Is there any issue with not
None.
being able to work for
Yeah.
older people who are retired?
No, I mean, if you're doing something, you know, that you consider to be work, that's fine.
How is it reported for taxes? I mean, are taxes paid on that?
Thanks for bringing that up. So it does not need to be reported as taxes. It falls under Internal Revenue Service rule around gifts and public welfare benefits for the public welfare. So you don't have to report guaranteed income payments on your taxes. What we are working on getting clarity about, getting some answers about, is how it will affect other public benefits that folks might receive, like SNAP or food stamps, like Medicaid. We have been in ongoing conversations with the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services and have requested that the guaranteed income not be counted, but every program has its own set of rules, and so we're going through program by program. It looks like if you receive any SNAP benefits, you won't have to report it. That looks like the case. We're still waiting word on other benefits. We're doing the same with the City Housing Authority, so that any benefits you might receive from the Housing Authority or Section 8. But that's still in process. We are crossing our fingers that we will have answers to those questions by the time we actually start enrolling people. I will say, though, that no guaranteed income pilot in the country has been able to protect disability benefits from reporting requirements. So, and based on information that I've gotten from the federal government, for every dollar you would get in guaranteed income, your SSI benefits would probably be reduced almost, dollar for dollar. So once people are selected, we will be contacting them, and part of what we will go through is look at any potential effect on people's benefits, so that if you are selected, you can make the best decision for your household as to, do I want to take this benefit or not? Because it might be the answer is no, I don't want to risk something, and that's fine. But we will be doing that with every person one-on-one, to make sure that you have the most information possible to make that decision.
I got from your previous answers that it doesn't necessarily, the entrepreneuring doesn't necessarily have to involve a cash payment.
Correct.
It could be just something you're doing because you believe in doing it, to serving the community somehow, or what have you. The common good, if you will.
We're not asking people to say that yeah, I'm earning money from this.
Okay. Right. Yeah. Thanks.
I had a question. I work in healthcare. Well, I work as a CNA, and I also have a roommate, and she works as she does cat and dog grooming, and she's not here tonight. But I just wanted to know, say if you're, you both are living in the same apartment, would that be considered both incomes, or how would that, could we both apply separately? Because we're friends, but we're not. Relatives or anything like that.
Yeah, my answer to that would be that if you're not sharing a lot of resources with each other, if you're not on each other's taxes, for example, then you are two separate households. You just happen to live under the same roof. But if you you and a partner file taxes jointly, or one person, is reliant on the other, that would be considered a household, and you need to report both. Yeah.
I think I may know the answer to this one already, but what if you have a project idea and you don't feel it's working, and 6 months then you change to something completely different? Is that still okay?
It's still okay. Right behind you.
Say you put your application in October 2nd, and you were on a waiting list for another apartment or something, and that came through. Do you have to change that application, or how does that work?
It would be helpful for us if, if your email didn't change, if your phone number didn't change, we probably, in terms of the application period, it would be fine. But if you were selected, we'd probably want to just get updated contact information, because we would hope you would also participate in the research, and we'd want to be able to find you.
Okay.
Was that list that you read the proof of income list of what documents could qualify to prove that? Is that on your website?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect.
And it will be part of the application itself too. So once that opens up, it'll be there.
Are you ineligible if you do technically have traditional employment, like you're a server in a restaurant, even if you're below the poverty line?
If you're doing additional work on the side, then you're eligible. Yeah, you can have a full-time job or 2 full-time jobs, but if you're doing extra work, to pay the bills, you're fine. Yeah.
You mentioned for proof of income SNAP benefits. So if somebody got SNAP benefits and then the work that they wanted to perform was like volunteering work, would that qualify?
I think so. We're not going to, there's no requirement that you be earning money. So yes.
Okay, you said this is Ann Arbor, right?
This is Ann Arbor.
Okay, so to her question, when you say if my address changed and I'm no longer Ann Arbor resident, would that put you out of the program?
if you were an Ann Arbor resident on the date that you applied, you are eligible.
So if I move to Ipsy or I move to somewhere else, I'm still a part of the program.
Yes, yes. So it is, the way we will talk about this is these are folks who met all the eligibility requirements on the date that they applied. And what happens next, is what happens next. We aren't going to, cut people off because they move. I mean, maybe you're moving for a better opportunity. So yeah, we don't want to restrict anyone's choices on anything.
I know you had already answered that question, but I'm a lifetime resident here in Ann Arbor, and there are a lot of people that I grew up with who are no longer part of Ann Arbor that live in Ipsy, and I felt that is really kind of disheartening to know that they have been a lifetime resident here and no longer can afford to be here, and they need the help as well. And I felt it was kind of sad to know that they're not able to participate in a program that would be benefit to them as well. And I would hope and pray that there will be someone looking into that would expand that so that they've been lifetime resident and no longer can be here, but I think they should be included. Thank you.
It's a point that was raised to City Council. And we know, right? Like lots of folks can't afford to live in Ann Arbor. That is a issue. That is a real issue. What I can say is, we've mentioned that there are over 100 of these programs around the country. In conjunction with that, there's a big movement to try to get this to be not just a pilot program, but like a policy change, whether it's in the state or in the U.S. as a whole. So stay tuned.
Thank you. So I do make application, but you're not certain yet how this is going to affect public benefits, SNAP or OCED or any of those things. Can you be chosen and then choose not to be in the program?
Absolutely.
Because it's going to be too risky for you.
Absolutely, yes.
We want everyone to apply. It's another answer to that, I think.
So the question was, does the money get automatically deposited into your account? We are partnering with an organization called Steady. They have done a lot of these guaranteed income pilots elsewhere, and we'll set you up so that you can either have money directly deposited into a bank account, or they can issue a card that will just get reloaded every month with the $528. But once you're selected, that's something else that we'll make sure you get signed up with them and get that. And they have 24/7 tech support. Which would be much better than trying to rely on Trevor or I to troubleshoot.
And my question is, once the program ends, is there a study to see the impact of the absence of the $528 per month for like the next year or two on the participants?
Yeah, that's something our research team has been talking about, and we'd like to explore that because it is a real issue, right? If you end up being part of the program, one thing we will do as it starts to wind down is send out reminders that hey, we're the second to last or fifth to last payment, so that, and try to find some resources too, so that folks can be prepared for that. But yeah, if it's not extended, we would definitely like to be able to look at what happens the next month or 6 months later.
These are a lot of great questions, but in this moment where no one has their hand up, I wonder if we want to turn back to our slides and you could do the last couple of things you didn't talk about.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah. Our research really, really is focused both on effects on businesses, whether it's, you grow your business or you stop doing your side job because you want to do something else. And we're also interested in looking at a whole host of other effects, like effects on health and mental health and housing and your, food insecurity, access to care. So a lot of, a lot of things, that extra money could, positively affect. So those are things that we'll be looking at over time. And I think I tried to explain this earlier. I probably didn't do a great job, but it is this, the group that gets the money, and in research terms they call it the treatment group, that borrowed from medical studies, and then another group that is the comparison group, and this will help us then track what is caused by getting the payment versus what's just something that is a random effect. So we will have surveys when people enroll into the study, sort of halfway through, about a year after, and then toward the end of the pilot. And we will give folks $50 for every survey they complete. We'll also, with a smaller subset of people who are part of the study, do some in-depth interviews, so that we can learn a lot more about, like, well, have you tell us, like, some of the effects that the money has had on your household, particularly on things that we wouldn't necessarily pick up on in a survey. So it's a kind of a mixed methods approach to studying it.
So that's the end of our presentation. I wanted to grab those last couple of slides, but let's take some more questions from people.
What date are they going to choose, like, the 100 people?
So we will likely choose that week, like the week of the 15th. We will be doing the random selection during that week, and then.
And then how will they get notified? How will people know?
So in the application, we're asking for contact information, phone, email, or some other method. So if you are selected, someone from U of M will reach out to you to schedule an appointment where we can, get you signed up, walk you through effects on benefits to see if you don't want to do this. And that will probably take place, given the number of folks we have to enroll, both 200 altogether, it'll probably take, into part of December to do that. So we're going to ask some patience.
So you haven't heard by the middle of December, don't panic.
Yeah, don't panic. Once we have got everybody enrolled, we will update it on our website, and we will announce that, we have selected everybody and enrolled everybody. And if, so if you haven't heard, you weren't, so that will be the way we will do it.
Yeah, I had a question about one of the requirements. So I live just outside the Ann Arbor city limits, and I would be open to moving, I don't know, down the streets if I were, like, applicable for the program. But that's just my specific situation. I'm wondering how much flexibility there is, or if we need to meet all the requirements right now to.
What I can say is you have to meet all the eligibility requirements on the day that you apply.
Okay, so a part of the program, do you guys offer, or will there be resources to help people develop their business and things like that?
Yeah, we have just finished putting together a list of resources in the county for folks who want some assistance with their business. I mean, that includes the Washtenaw County Community College entrepreneurship program and a lot of other resources. So as soon as as soon as we get that finalized, we will put that on the website, and that will be available to anybody.
I went on your website last night, but then I went on it again and I wasn't able to get in. It said something about phishing. So are you able to put it up on the monitor for us?
I'll let Trevor take this one.
Yes, and we used a good web company to host our website, but it was down for 20 hours right in front of this session, because that's how technology works. But I can end this show and just go back to the website and show you that it's working. Yeah. So this is our website here. Guaranteed Income to Grow Ann Arbor, so GIGA2.org. And then on Monday morning, this blue bar will have a link to the application. And if you've signed up, you can also go to the website and I think that there's a contact us form that gets us your information, and you would get a direct link to the application on Monday then too.
Through your email, right?
Through your email. So you would be able to bypass the website if this were to happen again. I can explain to you what happened last night if you want, but it's boring.
And Trevor has a backup plan too, so never fear.
At the end of 2 years, if you're selected, I think you touched on that, but I didn't quite catch. What happens?
At the end of 2 years?
Yeah.
Right now, there is not funding to continue the payment. I know there are people in the community who would like to see this program continue in some form, but at this moment there is no further funding. So you take a survey at the end, and yeah.
Actually, that's what I was asking more about. Like, are you going to be asking for some sort of reports or surveys, or because you're doing research, obviously?
Yeah,
so.
we are. Yes, we are going to be, producing reports at various periods during the 2 years. Once we've collected the data and analyzed it, we'll issue a report that will all be available to the public. We'll also probably do some other, very short things that we can put on the website as well to share findings.
What are the participants required to, I guess, fill out a report or some? I don't know.
I mean, you can opt not to be part of the research. We really hope you don't do that. And the reason we say that is because this is a real opportunity to learn about the effects of these programs. And in order to, if we're finding positive results and we want to get more of these programs going, get this to be a policy change, we need evidence. We need the evidence to show the effects. So if you're participating in the research, either as someone who's getting the payment or not, you are helping, move policy forward.
Yeah.
And we really appreciate it.
By what method will the 100 be selected? What randomly selection method would it be?
So
let's say you get 150 applicants. What would you do with what? A ball or
no
lottery kind of?
One of our colleagues is sort of in charge of that process. It will be using a software program to conduct the randomization. So we will have we'll have everybody's information in a database, and she will use some type of software that I don't know enough about to speak about intelligently to conduct the randomization.
How would you make sure that there's no bias in that selection?
So we are, we're trying to build in some checks to do that, right? So we do want to look at, we're asking folks on the application form to fill out a couple of questions about demographics, like, age and race. And so we want to be able to do some checks and make sure it wasn't 100 people who are all 30 years old, because that would be biased. But the way as I understand it, the way these software programs work is that they do, they replicate the randomizations hundreds of times in order to provide you with a sample that isn't just the first flip of a coin, if that makes sense. No, it doesn't really make sense to me either. Yeah. But I mean, there are people much smarter than me who have figured out ways to do this, to eliminate the kinds of biases that you would get potentially if all you were doing is pulling a ball out of, a jar. How many applicants? So we've talked to the folks in Madison, Wisconsin, who are wrapping up a pilot. Madison is kind of like us, and I believe they had 8,000 people apply. I mean, Madison is bigger, but yeah.
I just had a question if they have this anywhere else in Michigan or just in Ann Arbor.
I mean, right now, just in Ann Arbor, one of our colleagues is working with folks in Flint to do a version of a guaranteed income program in Flint, but that's not going to be up and running for a bit yet.
I've been a part of conversations in other places that are interested in doing this, but that haven't started to do it yet and don't have a plan for where the money comes from.
Yeah.
Could you please tell us what the income at 225% of the federal poverty line is for one person? I think it's on the website as well.
Yeah, I'll pull that up.
Thank you, Trevor.
So on the eligibility page at the top, there's a chart. And so it shows that for one person, $32,805 is the amount. That is 225% of the poverty line.
So at or below that.
Repeat that. For two people, it's $44,370. For three, $55,935. And for four, $67,500.
Can you guys request an audit system for the person or people or committee that formulates the picking system? Because when the other money came, when the COVID money came, and they said, "Oh, all these people they abuse the system." Well, that's a given that people were going to abuse the system. So to go back and then say, "Well, we want our money back," there's a way of making sure that it doesn't get abused from the get-go.
So we won't publish information about any individual, but we will be publishing the information about everything that happened through the whole study. So we'll say how many people applied, we'll say what exactly the randomization process was, and that will be available to anyone to scrutinize. So like the particular process will be named, and the math behind it will be shown, and people could look at that, and how it was applied to get to 100 people. So like we'll show everything about our study in a public way. I know that the math behind these randomization things, like the reason why we're kind of saying we don't know how it works is that we don't know how it works, but it works in a way to make sure that there isn't bias. But we'll also publicize that.
Yeah.
So in terms of like doing an audit, that would be possible by looking at our research.
Well,
you'd be able to see what happened, right?
And the other, I mean, the other piece that we're doing, as applications come in, our team will be looking through them to make sure to verify that the documentation they provided is correct, in the sense that, like, you know, someone says they're eligible, but their income is that they report, that they show on a document is too high. You know, we will put them outside of the pool of folks from whom we will randomly select. So throughout the application period and even after it closes, we will look through each application so that we are only selecting people who meet the criteria. We don't have the ability, and we're not the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, so we can't individually, verify employment records or things like that. But we are going to try. We are doing some checking throughout the process.
I was speaking of the computer program. That's what I was. The software, and then a auditing company can evaluate that software. Other than people like you and I that know anything about it.
Luckily for us working at the University of Michigan, we have very experienced statisticians who help us with that, and unfortunately you're talking to someone who does interview-based research, and I just don't know the intricacies. If you want to give me your contact information later, I can follow up, or have the person who actually knows what she's talking about follow up.
I had a question about what if if you're not like really computer savvy and you don't have like a laptop, or, not to say you couldn't get to the library to use a computer to do the application. Is there like a paper application that people can pick up or something in that manner if you don't have like computer access? Like, I mean, I have computer access at work, but I don't have a laptop at home.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of do things by my phone. So it's like, but it depends on, that was a question. And then I had another one, but now I forgot.
We'll be here.
So we can make paper applications available to people on a individual request basis. You would just, the simplest thing to do would be to email us and request one. Tell me about the phone compatibility.
Yeah, there's also a telephone number that you can call. You could call that number and someone could walk you through applying. So that would work without needing a computer, right? You just need to be able to talk on the phone. There's also a mobile version of the application. So we use this software called Airtable to manage the application, and it's very good at kind of making it look like one thing on the computer and another thing on the phone. So you'd be able to use a smartphone to fill out the application. That's right, and there'll be people at the library starting Monday morning for the whole time that the library is open. On Saturday, it's at Westgate, not here, but otherwise it'll be here. And those are graduate students that we've worked with and trained, and they'll be able to help you through the whole application. So you could come in to the library anytime it's open, and someone will take you from the beginning to the end of the application. You need to bring your documents with you, so you need to check what you need to bring to prove the things that we've been talking about. But that'll definitely work.
If someone would like help with that, but say their workday takes up the entire day of the 7th, would there be other days where something like that would be available?
Yeah, my recommendation would be to either call or send an email, and somebody can reach back to you and figure out maybe a time to walk you through something. We have a good number of folks lined up to help with applications. Yeah.
And the library's opening hours are 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., so that it includes some time that's outside the workday.
Okay, y'all keep talking about this number, and I don't see a phone number.
We just got it.
The phone number's not on the sheets.
Yes,
it's on the website, and I can say it to you. It's 734-926-5957. And I can put that up big on the website in just a second, or on the screen in just a second.
Yeah, we did just get the phone number this morning.
See, a person at the back that I'll get first.
I'm sorry if this question's already been asked, but out of the funds, there's about 400,000 that's remaining. Do you know what the city is planning to do with that? And why, is it possible that they could extend the amount if there were a lot of applicants? Because there's about 2 million, right? And only 1 million something is going to the UBI, but 400 is going to the city, or there's like a difference?
So I think actually 24 million was given to the city in ARPA funding, and then 1.6, so a small amount is for this. And there's a bunch of other things that the city has spent that ARPA funding on.
No, I understand, but out of the 1.6, is all of the 1.6 going to UBI grants, or there's a portion that the city is spending on administrative?
Yeah, there's a portion that goes to administrative. Do you want to talk about that?
So almost all of it goes to the funds. Roughly 300,000 plus money that the university is donating is going to fund the research and administration of the pilot. So part of the money we are contracting with Steady to do the payments, so they are getting some of the money. There's money to support the outreach work that we've been doing to fund a website, things like that. But the overwhelm, it's about 1.3 million of the 1.6 is going toward the payments.
Do you have a data sharing agreement with them? Because it's a for-profit firm funded by venture capital that's interested in training people how to give time to gig work. How are they benefiting from the contract aside from payment? What data are they collecting on participants?
My understanding is that they collect transaction data if you have a card, but only at the aggregate level, not at the they don't keep it at the individual level. The University of Michigan has a pretty strict contract and data use agreement with them because what they're doing has to follow the rules of our institutional review board and the university's kind of rules around data sharing. So I think what they get out of it really is they get a reputation of being a partner in the guaranteed income pilot industry, if you want to call it that.
Does it matter how long you've owned the business?
No, no.
Okay, my other question just popped up. Like on your website, like people that kind of have like their business already a little created, and if say they get picked, would you guys do like opportunities that they could promote their business on the website, like to help?
We can't do that because as researchers, we can't give anybody's information out at all. I think there are other ways you can do that, though. I mean, this pilot has already gotten a lot of press, right? And it's not even started. What we will do, I mean, if media reach out to us, we will not provide anybody's name, but we will let everyone know, like, somebody from the MLive wants to talk to somebody, and you can decide if that's what you want to do, and that would be a way. But we're not able to do that kind of. We have to really make everything, anonymized, for confidentiality reasons. Yeah.
Are there any other questions, or did we answer all of your questions?
And you can always, again, email us, and we will try to answer questions as quickly as possible. And again, the application window is the 2nd through the 13th, and it doesn't matter when you apply. There's no, you don't get a benefit from applying early versus later, because the application window is open for all. One more back here. That is correct. 11:59 p.m. on the 13th.
And I've made the phone number big here, so if you want to grab the phone number, it's 734-926-5957.
Adverse was going computer and see these things, or do you have that? Your address? No, do you have